Just me and the turkeys here this morning. I can hear them gobbling off to that side. I assume it was a quiet night, but I was passed out, so it didn't matter what was going on, short of a bear crawling in here with me. Jen has me booked in the Alma guest house today, so I guess I am beating it down the hill. I am limiting my coffee to just one today since I'm kind of limited on water and won't be able to fill up for quite a ways. 13 miles downhill-ish should put me in Alma. So far, the trail's been kind of steep with all these really rolly rocks on it. So it has not been fast going, and I've taken a couple of tumbles. So you can see the sort of terrain I was dealing with last night and why I was having trouble setting up the tent. I was literally here at least 20 minutes digging rocks out to get a big enough patch of dirt. So I'm about 6 days out of Alma, and if you're curious, that's the amount of trash I generate if things are kind of properly repackaged. Also, for the record, that's how much water I go through making dinner and 1 cup of coffee. Check out the salt buildup on my shirt. Happened a lot on the PCT. Hasn't happened so much since I've been out here, but it's been a sweaty couple of days. Sadly, this is so far back here, I doubt anybody else will ever see it again. Sadly, the tub and the tank were both bone dry. Reading between the lines of old water updates, looks like the advent of solar wells being installed in the last couple 100 miles has really been a boon as far as not having to use some of the nastier water sources. And I do love me a solar well. Nothing like getting clean water when you're looking at a trough filled with, cow drool, dead bugs, etc., etc. Or algae blooms. Algae blooms are actually the worst. Worst water source I used on the CDT was Homestake Lake, which was right in the middle of an algae bloom. And even after filtering, it came out mostly clear, but it just had a horrible taste to it. Hence why I was calling it Homestank Lake, and just about dehydrating myself through that next section until I could get some non-stinky water. Because there are things that even a double packet of lemonade will not cover up. The peach iced tea does a fairly good job. That was how I got through Florida with all the sulfur sources. And welcome to New Mexico. I'd kind of been hoping for a sign of some sort, but oh well. At least the road is noticeably better. Okay, so there is a sign, and I almost walked right by it. That's subtle. This is the first actual water that I've found. It's decent, clear. But I'm only 3 or 4 miles out, I think. Jen managed to get me in at this place. And there's the grill and the store with my package. The first order of business was food and as much cold liquid as I could get down, which turned out to be about 5 iced teas plus a soda. Then I went next door to the store, and after checking out what they had, grabbed my package. Jen had decided to send a package because we'd heard the store was kind of limited, but honestly I could have made it to the next stop off of what they had. Now, feeling well-fed, hydrated, and with my resupply box in hand, I wandered next door to see what the accommodations were going to be like. Jen had managed to book me at something called the Alma Guest House. I'd been a little concerned that it was going to be, a private room in a house with other people. But it turned out I actually had the entire house to myself. It was really nicely set up, it was quiet, and it had laundry. Of course, no sooner had I put my things in the laundry that the power went out. So the power's been out for a couple of hours. Now it happened to go out right as I was doing laundry. So right now all of my clothes are soaking wet and covered in soap. So I've been stuck in my rain gear and such. The store next door was running a generator, and they also had Wi-Fi. Since there was no cell, that was my only source of contact with the outside world. So I ended up sitting over there a lot. The store closed at 7, after which the generator and the internet were turned off. I had bought a microwave pizza earlier, figuring I would make that for dinner, but I later found out, right as the sun was going down, that the oven wouldn't work without power. Fortunately, the owner dropped by, gave me a ride down to Glenwood, and I was able to scrape together a gas station sandwich dinner. She was also nice enough to bring over a backup power station, so at least I could get some of my charging out of the way, but I was still stuck as far as laundry. The next morning, when the power wasn't back on, I had to make a decision. I could have tried to just rinse the soap out in the tub, but I was a little wary of that after the Tide Pod burns I got on the Eastern Continental Trail a couple of years ago. Also, the internet was a little on the slow side, and I wasn't anywhere near to finishing getting all of the YouTube episodes up. The plan had been for me to leave at about 11 a.m., but after talking to the owner, she was willing to extend me for an extra day due to the power struggles. So I decided to do that and make sure I was well set up before I left. Rumor had it the power was going to come on around noon, so I ended up spending a bunch of time next door slowly uploading videos, periodically going in to eat. As it turned out, other hikers caught up. Colonel Mustard and Sprouts were there briefly. They had camped right outside of town and come in just to resupply and then left. And then Snapper caught back up. We ended up having lunch and chatting about everything that had happened since Safford. And then she took off for nearby Glenwood, where she was staying. And 24 hours later, the power has finally come back, which I'm glad because all my other layers other than this are currently in the wash and wet. Finally, I've been sitting around in the New Mexico heat in my puffy and rain jacket. So Jen had brought super glue for me. I asked for it because these were peeling off on the last pair, but it's going to come in useful because I can glue the tread back on. If this comes off and I go straight through the foam with a rock, it's going to get really painful really quick. Hopefully these will hold together for another stop or two. I have another pair waiting for me at Winston, which is the next stop after Gila/Doc Campbell's. This has been a really nice place to stay, but I'm officially really ready to get going now. With the power back on, I was able to make that pizza that I had bought and get everything topped off power-wise. And I am spending my hopefully last evening in town sitting outside of the store, desperately waiting for the last couple of videos to upload. Since the power was back on, they left the Wi-Fi on after hours, so I settled into the porch and waited several hours while the last of the post-Stafford videos uploaded. Okay, it is 11:30. Everything finally uploaded.